All right, welcome back. We just finished an absolutely brutal practice session, a practice take for Nightmare drum practice take. If you haven't watched it already, please do, and then come back and let's continue this week 8 into the piano take, shall we? Look, yeah. Going on from that is what it is. We need to get this done and move into week 9. I'm going to do my best to give you the most accurate representation of our progress for this week. And yeah, let's go and see what we can do, shall we? All right, so it's not as emotional as I would have wanted it to be. It was very little more robotic than I would like. Uh, but I am struggling today to really uh, give more emotion into the piece. But one of the positive things that has been is particularly within the like that. So I've wanted to add more of the first hand, particularly for the lower notes, because it offers me a lot more control of what I want to do. I find that when I'm attacking it with the pinky, it's just too loud. It's too much, and then trying to get back to where I want to be, um, it just doesn't flow right. And I feel that with using the first hand just to control that lower note, the lower note's a lot better. Is gonna be more impactful for the piece, because if it's too loud, it overtakes the song, and I don't want that. So I'd rather have the higher notes more prominent than the lower ones, and using my first hand really helps give that extra level of control of the amount of attenuation that I want. Overall, I've been moving towards really that, those aspects. Stepping forward from learning the piece, adding more emotion into the song, and really just listening to the song. And going with the flow without any metronome or anything, just freehand, just going with the piece. And I think that one of the key aspects now is that flow. There's a beautiful flow in the piece when you find it. It really opens a piece up. And it's just about finding that flow and then maintaining that flow throughout the song. And that's obviously something that's not the best representation today, but that's what I'm going towards. What I would like to do though is I am incorporating a lot more the vocal now with the song, because I feel that we've passed the learning stage of the song and now we're into more of that performing part of the song, really delving into more of the emotion, getting that flow. And I think now it's a good place to start incorporating the vocal, because if the song gets too complicated within the actual piano itself, then the vocal's gonna sound too much for it. You noticed in more classical pieces of music, if it's heavy on the piano, obviously if you add the vocals, it's gonna be too much. That's why a lot of pieces of orchestral music, particularly classical music, don't have vocalizations in them. I mean, obviously there's other reasons, but I find that one of the reasons, particularly from a composition perspective, is when you have, particularly from an instrumental perspective, I can relate to this when I was working on Search for Natural Happiness. When you're working on something purely that's instrumental based, the plethora of instrumentation and stuff that you can use really is expansive. I mean, there's almost no limit to what you can add when you don't have vocal. because you have so much space available and there's so much you can do. And it's really noticeable in in Mozart pieces with the piano and Beethoven and those classic kings. In particular, other composers and stuff like that. When it's heavy, or orchestral, classical, there isn't any vocal, but it's heavy on instrumentation. You can do a lot of different things, right? And you can add the substance and the musical notes and the information that you can input into that or composition is far greater when you don't have the vocalization in there. When you start adding vocals, then the backing piece behind it needs to be a little more simplified, because the vocal really takes up an enormous amount of space. It really does. It takes up a huge amount of space, and it can very easily overpower everything else, or the verse, or the vice versa. If it's too much in the instrumental, then you're going to get that classic, it's too busy, and you don't want that. So I think this is a good point where we start incorporating the vocal and we start seeing, okay, which parts work well instrumentally as its own solo piece, and then which parts do we need to start adjusting to bring space around the vocal. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to perform it with the vocals. So bear in mind, it's still touch and go. They come in and out, because the main focus is still really building up the performance of the piece. But I hope that you can start really getting the idea of how we're developing a pocket now, finding space for the vocal. There's a comes in the meditation. Those who play never suspect. He doesn't play for the money he wins. Don't play for respect. There's a cause to find the answer. Secret geometry and chance. The hidden law of a probable outcome. Numbers leader and dance. Know that the spades are the sword of a soldier. Know that the clubs are weapons of war. Know that diamonds give money for this heart. That's not the shape of mine. And we play the jack of diamonds. They may lay the queen of spades. Make them see a king in his hand, or the memory of it fades. Know that the spade, the swords of a soldier. Know that the clubs are weapons of war. Know the diamonds give money for this heart. That's not the shape of mine. Shape of mine. never told that I loved you. You made me think there's something wrong. I'm not a man of too many faces. The masquerades one, and those who speak know nothing can find out who they cause. And those who curse their love for too many places, and those who fear us know that the spades are swords of a soldier, know that the clubs are weapons of war, know that diamonds give money for this heart, but that's not the shape of mine. That's not the shape of mine. Okay, wonderful. I hope you can see there how the from the original instrumental piece of the piano into the vocalization with the piano. First off, it's a little more it's a little bit louder to obviously to support the vocal. Some of the moments a little more attenuated, a little more aggressive, if you will, to help support around the vocal. Now, I hope you can see how much space the vocal can take in a song, and how much not importance, but how much of a powerful instrument the vocal can be when you are playing it with the piano or something like that. The piano takes a slightly secondary role, and it's more of a support role for the vocal. But you can also see how sensitive the vocal can be. I think the what I like to call the neutral tone of the piece is fine, and it's very popular for modern artists and modern pop music and stuff like that. Particularly, the singers and stuff like that, they will find the sort of tone of the song, right? The key of the song, and that's really it, right? It's and that's not the shape of my heart. You might play doesn't count as a meditation. Doesn't play, never suspect. You don't play for the money wins. Right? So overall, that's my sort of pocket for the song. Okay? And in most cases, it's like, okay, let's stick there. But for me, I want to particularly, when we go higher, to go up the octave. And then so you're getting out of that sort of neutral zone that you're comfortable in, and you're wanting to really increase the energy, if you will, of the song. But you'll notice that when we go lower, it's still an area that I'm trying to figure out. So we start low, but then it's a neutral tone. But then when I go higher, particularly when it's like, and if I told her that I loved you, it made me think there's something wrong. I'm not a man of too many faces. And it's a little bit challenging when you're up higher and the natural sort of progression is, I'm not a man of too many faces, the mask and where is one, right? But you want to go lower, and you're like, okay, let's go lower. So that's something that I have to sort of, okay, mentally switch over. But overall, I am happy with that piece, and I hope they can see we are wanting to just push ourselves, challenge ourselves, and not stay in that sort of neutral zone. And sure, we can stay there and be very beautiful, but it's it's okay, right? I want to challenge ourselves on the piece and see what we can do creatively to give it a deeper perspective for the piece, because there's been so many versions of the songs over the years, and I don't want to just sort of, okay, here you go. I want to really challenge myself and create something special for this piece, because it's otherwise there's no point doing it, right? I might as well just make my own piece, okay? And then you can do what you really want with it, okay? But for something like this, you need to really up the ante and do something to really give it a different spice, different direction, if you will. But overall, thank you so much for joining me. I'm happy with that progression this week. I hope you can see how we're sort of developing the song and it's coming together. I hope that you enjoyed this piece, and thank you for sort of supporting me in this journey with the piano. It's a process. It's a process getting this together. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you. Let's take a short break, and then I'm gonna tackle the next piece. Okay. I'll see you then. All right.